You have broken sleep, and trying to fix it by "I'm just gonna fall asleep earlier, bro" is only worsening the problems. It's like getting gashed by a saber-toothed tiger and then putting an Elmo band-aid over it. Let's say we have Jack. He's the average teenager, his diet isn't so great, no real exercise routine, and he stays up late to doom scroll or finish up homework. His sleep, of course, non-coincidentally sucks, so he asks some of his friends for advice. One of them says, "Just take melatonin, bro," which Jack agrees to since it's a quick fix. He wants to fall asleep by 10 p.m, so he pops a gummy by 9, and guess what? It works. He's sound asleep, so what's the problem here? There are two much more likely scenarios. 1. He wakes up a ton in the middle of the night and then wakes up tired. Or 2. He wakes up tired regardless of the extra hours of sleep he's getting. There are so many other factors contributing to your sleep mechanism. Most methods aim to fix only one part of this, just the falling asleep in the first place, without addressing all the potential lifestyle factors or underlying conditions you could be having that disrupt sleep. So no more of that, man. I'll show you the basics of how sleep works, how you can diagnose your sleep problems, and how you can implement shit into your life to fix your sleep. So let's do this shit. Our bodies operate on internal clocks. You should generally feel tired 12 to 20 hours after you wake up, and feel awake 7 to 10 hours after falling asleep. There are two major systems for regulating this clock. First one being your homeostatic sleep drive. Let's say you have a mug in a water dispenser. You leave the mug in the dispenser and wait for it to fill. Eventually it fills up almost completely, but obviously you don't want it to spill, so you take your cup out and drink it. Then you place it back into the dispenser, restarting this cycle over and over. Your sleep drive works the same. Your body produces the waste product adenosine, the water in this case, building up as you use energy throughout the day. More adenosine progressively signals to your brain that you are tired to get you to sleep eventually. Once you sleep, the adenosine gets cleared out and resets for the next day, and the cycle repeats. So you can imagine your adenosine levels travel up and down in waves. However, we don't perfectly run like this. There will be issues where you can't efficiently clear all of the waste product during your sleep, leaving you less rested. There isn't a way around this system. You inevitably have to build up adenosine. However, certain drugs like caffeine can block the effects of adenosine, creating a false awakeness. It's all a lie. The second major system is your circadian rhythm, which regulates two main hormones, cortisol and melatonin, for dictating how tired you feel. Cortisol is a stress hormone promoting alertness, while melatonin does the opposite. Hormones by nature affect every major system in your body, and the effects can last for hours at a time. This system works based on triggers rather than the accumulation of waste products, predominantly triggered via light. So when your eyes sense light, you release cortisol and inhibit melatonin, and vice versa. This evolutionarily makes sense. We wanted to be tired during the nightfall when there was little to no light, and then be alert when we came in contact with sunlight after the night passed. Because this system runs on triggers, it can easily be disrupted and overridden. Light sources such as from screens, especially blue light, can trigger your circadian rhythm. Stress can also trigger cortisol release. Cortisol not only makes you more alert, but makes you more irritable, meaning it signals to your brain that you need to be able to wake up easily in case of emergency, making it harder to stay asleep. One last psychological trigger for tiredness is the hormone insulin. When you eat a meal, especially one high in fast digesting carbs that raises your blood sugar, your body releases insulin to help transport the glucose from the bloodstream into your cells. Insulin is an anabolic hormone promoting tissue building and maintenance. This coincides with rest, as sleep is where most of your tissue building happens. So an insulin spike will come with feelings of tiredness and grogginess, which is good before bed. You ever experience the high carb crash out? Eating foods high in protein and fat rather than carbs can have the opposite effect, resulting in increased levels of the hormone orexin, which also increases alertness. So carbs before bed are actually a good thing compared to other macros in terms of going to bed. I yapped a lot here, so here are the main takeaways. Adenosine builds up and promotes tiredness until you sleep. Clearing waste during sleep is highly important. Light and stress trigger the release of cortisol, which keeps you alert for a long time. Blood sugar spikes trigger insulin release, prompting tiredness and recovery. How do we make sure our body is removing waste products? We need to get high quality sleep, and high quality sleep is simply just sleep where we can frequently tap into the later sleep stages. Sleep stages? You have probably heard something like, if you go to bed at 10, you actually go to sleep at like 10:30, and that's pretty true. Your body first starts in the falling asleep period, which takes most people around 10 to 20 minutes. Once that's complete, you go into the first two stages of sleep, which just involve relaxing the body. Then you enter stage 3 after around 30 to 40 minutes, where you are fully relaxed. Lastly, you then enter stage Stage 4, REM sleep, where dreams take place. Your eyes move rapidly and your brain activity is similar to when you are awake. Then you go back to Stage 1, and this cycle repeats throughout the night. What its sleep quality would look like is intervals between Stage 1 and 2 while barely reaching Stages 3 and 4. The deep sleep of Stages 3 and 4 is the most conducive to recovery. Some examples of things that could be hindering your ability to get into the later stages of sleep efficiently can be waking up in the middle of the night, psychoactive substances like caffeine, intake of marijuana or alcohol, etc. This is a reason why even though alcohol can help in the process of falling asleep, you will wake up the next morning feeling like absolute shit because during your sleep, you will experience worse sleep quality. Alright, next up. Before you begin diagnosing, I highly recommend just getting a medical evaluation. You will be able to clear out any possibility that you have some sort of illness that could be inhibiting sleep on its own. If you happen to have an illness, that can completely change the steps you have to take to better your sleep. Moving on, you need to be able to diagnose what your exact sleeping problems are. Do you struggle falling asleep, or do you struggle staying asleep? If you answered no to the last two questions, are you still pretty tired throughout the day? What does your screen time and light exposure look like 2 to 3 hours before bed? What are your daily stressors? Knowing where your problems lie and collecting data on them will help you target the root problems directly. I recommend recording things down and answering these questions on a separate document like a notes page. If you struggle to fall asleep, your issue can likely stem from stimulants that suppress feelings of tiredness, lights or screens disrupting your circadian rhythm before bedtime, stress which raises cortisol keeping you from falling asleep, eating meals high in protein/fat before bed, and poor sleeping conditions, usually in the form of room temperature or noise. This of course isn't everything, but will cover most cases. If you struggle to stay asleep, your issue can likely stem from chronic stress, which as I talked about before, can directly signal to your brain that you need to be in an irritable state where you can be woken up easily. Stimulants, which can interfere with entering deeper sleep and or block feelings of tiredness, making it hard for your body to be convinced that it needs to remain asleep. Urinary problems. I've had issues in the past where I could not remain asleep for a full night's rest because I would need to pee really badly. Poor sleeping conditions again. Poor health conditions in general, like obesity, vitamin/mineral deficiencies, or an inactive lifestyle. Lastly, if you still feel tired despite getting genuinely enough uninterrupted sleep, you could just be experiencing the issues of struggling to stay asleep, but not having triggers during sleep that wake you up despite being more irritable. Even if you don't wake up from your sleep, being in an irritable state likely means that you are not in the deeper stages of sleep, which are crucial for sleep quality. Alright, so how do we go about addressing these main issues? I won't cover how to lay off stimulants because that's a whole nother discussion that deserves multiple videos and probably therapy. However, as you fix other target areas and improve your health in general, you should depend less and less on stimulant as a necessity to function. So starting off with light and its disrupting of sleep, the worst is blue light as it most closely mimics the daytime trigger. And guess what? What you're watching this video on right now is probably your biggest source of blue light fucking with your sleep. Your electronics/screens bring several problems to the table. There are blue light triggers and they raise alertness through how they engage and stress the brain, as they are very stimulating and addicting by nature. Even if you're just doing computer work, getting rid of your electronics around your desired bedtime will probably be the #1 tip in this video. The most consistent way to do this is to have friends or family take your shit at a certain time. So for example, you could have your roommate or parent take your phone an hour before you sleep. This will take getting used to, but in your mind, you can think of it as, oh, they have to take my phone away and there's nothing I can do about it. And eventually it will become normal. The next best thing is removing blue light from your devices by adjusting its settings. The last thing you can do is reduce the addictiveness and stimulation of your devices. Here are 4 fixes. Change the colors to grayscale. Lower the volume to be barely hearable. Watch less stimulating content like chill podcasts or ASMR rather than doom scrolling. Turn off notifications and avoid hanging out with your friends laid out on things like calls or gaming. I know it may suck, you want to stay up with them, but you have to think about your long-term goals, not some random fun you'll barely remember the next day anyways. What about light from not your devices? These are a lot harder to control, but my best advice is to start closing the blinds and turning off the lights near the time you want to sleep. My family had this routine where by 6, they would go around dimming every light around the house and making a habit of that. Light can also be used to enhance sleep. My most recommended advice is to simply just touch grass. Spend at least 30 minutes per day outside. Preferably, those 30 minutes should take place in the morning. Even if there isn't much sunlight out, as long as it's not pitch black, it's fine. Next up is stress/anxiety. Like stimulants, this can be a vast discussion branched out into so much more than I can cover, but I have some practical tips for helping at least trying to improve this if you haven't. Have you ever heard a phrase like, if you look out for something, you'll never find it, but if you stop looking for something, you'll stumble into it? That logic applies to sleeping. If you are too anxious about falling asleep, that will be directly counterproductive to falling asleep as it raises cortisol levels and you're fucked. You also need to be aware of what is called sleep misperception. People tend to underestimate their sleep quality and the amount of sleep they actually get. And this can cause them to feel the effects of having poor sleep quality sort of by placebo. Being well rested doesn't feel like literal magic, it just feels like being a decently functional human being. And these are two forms of anxiety that are directly tied to sleep, but outside of that will be other life factors like school, work, family, finances, etc. So my first tip will be to start meditating. The best app in my opinion for this is Medito. Not sponsored. It will teach you the basics of meditation and get you into a routine that builds up gradually over time. Like even if you can't sit still for 30 seconds, just do what you can for 20 seconds and work your way up. I would recommend meditating while lying down in bed, probably with headphones. This does two things. Firstly, it takes your mind off of your stressors, and secondly, it keeps your body more relaxed. Falling asleep is a skill outside of just tiredness. You need the ability to keep your thoughts focused and relax your own body. Next up is a more specific one, which is urinary problems. In my case, I was drinking way too much water before bed because I felt thirsty all the time, resulting in having to wake up in the middle of the night to piss. My specific issue was I wasn't taking enough electrolytes, and I stupidly thought more water would mean more hydration. Some people also just take down a shit ton of water before bed just because. Even if you have to go a little thirsty, I would recommend that over gargling down the bikini bottom. If you cannot avoid the nightly piss however, no matter what, then my next best advice is to not piss in the toilet at night. Let me explain. The main issue with getting up to piss is that you have to get out of bed and go all the way to the bathroom, which obviously disrupts your sleep, especially hallway/bathroom lights. What you should instead do is have a bucket right next to your bed, which you can piss in instead. So all you have to do is get up and piss without needing to move a ton or encounter any lights. I know this one's gonna be controversial, but don't knock it till you try it. Next up is your sleeping/room conditions. Your body needs to lower its temperature by 1 to 2 degrees for you to fall into deep sleep, so make sure to turn on your fans and air conditioners as well as turn off all the lights plus close the blinds. Studies have shown that even having something as simple as a tiny candle in the corner of the room can negatively impact your sleep quality. Just make sure not to wake up in the middle of the night when it's pitch black and fall and die. Next up is food, which will mostly be a recap. Avoid any high protein/fat foods before bed, especially spicy foods. Prioritize food with carbs. No, this won't make you fat, but this can promote an insulin spike leading to increased feelings of tiredness. Last up is improving your general health. As for specifics on how to go about this, I have many videos outlining training and diet on this channel already. You're literally watching a dude named Random Fitness. If you have never had a structured exercise routine before, I would highly recommend starting with a morning 30-minute walk outside. This also takes care of the sunlight requirement, so it kills two birds with one stone. There is a unique effect of morning exercise known as the anticipatory circuit, where your body raises alertness before activity. So this can give you an extra boost of energy as soon as you wake up, as your body anticipates you will need the energy to go out on your walk. That is about all. These are a lot of actionable steps, so take the ones you think you can realistically start today and get going with them, man. Start something today, not tomorrow. Unless you're watching this video at 3 AM like a goofy ass, then you should just get off your phone and go to sleep right now. Once you take these precautions, the root problem hurting your sleep schedule should be taken care of. Now is where you can start strategies to adjust your sleep schedule, like setting up earlier alarms and setting earlier bedtimes. I would recommend setting an alarm for your desired wake up time and setting your bedtime back by the average amount of time you have already been sleeping, let's say 5 hours. Then subtract that again by 15 minutes and use that as your new bedtime. Once you get used to all the new routines and make noticeable progress, have your bedtime 15 minutes earlier and repeat this cycle until you eventually reach 8 consistent hours of sleep. This process may take months, but it will be worth it. The last thing I want to let you know is that no matter how much you optimize your sleep schedule and do all these fancy methods, you can still end up tired some days. You could have the perfect night routine and wake up exhausted at 6 AM on Tuesday like fuck, man. That's just the nature of trying to fix these things. You will never reach a point where it's perfect or brain dead. However, the sheer amount of other benefits you get makes it 100% worth it. Alright man, now go take action. If you want direct guidance through the entire process, I can help you out bro. The link is in the description. Also be sure to join the free community Discord. If you want to start incorporating an exercise routine or figuring out how to get shit done more efficiently, then check this video out. Like, subscribe, and see ya.